Well, welcome back. If you see my past video, which I doubt, which I doubt. So if you this is your first time, well, welcome. I'm gonna talk about rough process. So yeah, first I'm going to introduce myself. Yeah. So my name is Jasmine. I'm 20 years old. I'm Dominican, and I just quit my job. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna talk about today. I want to talk about how I quit my job with no backup plan or nothing because I felt like they just were sucking the life out of me. So yeah, I used to work for Walmart. At first, I'm gonna tell you why I started working there. I started working there a year ago because I needed money. I needed money, and like my stepfather, he was on my ass like, oh, you need to work, like because everybody else was working. Well, not everybody else, it was my older brother, but he needed help, and he was like, you need to start working. I'm like, I was feeling resentment because I was like, can you just like wait? Because I was looking for a job, but he just like he was pushing me. I don't know. I didn't like that. So I just went to where everybody was going. Everybody that I knew was going to Walmart to work, and that felt like the best option at the time. Yeah. So yeah, that happened, and I was like, okay. I started working here. I manifested that I was gonna work at Walmart because I was like, I'm gonna work at Walmart. They pay good. They pay 18 an hour. I'm like, yeah, and like nobody else is like paying 18 an hour. So I was like, okay, I felt lucky, and I started working there. The when I first started, it was tiring. It was tiring, but I was like, I'm gonna get used to this. Like, there's no problem. I'm gonna get used to this. But then as time passed, I realized I genuinely didn't want to be there. But I was scared. Like, I was so scared. 'Cause I was like, what am I gonna do though? Because I need the money. I was like, I need the money. But I didn't know like what I was gonna do, so I just changed. Since I work in the afternoon, I changed to the morning. So I started working from 2 to 11. It was exhausting. It was like I felt like I didn't have a life because it was like I woke up, I go to work, then I clock out, I go to sleep, then I do the same over and over, and I felt like I didn't have a life, you know. And then when I changed to the morning, I thought it was gonna be different. I was scared to leave. I wanted to leave, but I was scared. I was like, well, I got nothing else to do. There's nothing else for me. There's nothing else better. And like, let me just see if things are gonna change if I change to the morning. And nothing changed. Nothing changed. And things were worse actually because the people I worked with, they were, at least with the afternoon crew, they were really nice ladies, and they were kind to me. They were really nice. But the morning crew, they were just like everybody was already like everybody had a connection. Everybody was like doing their own thing, and I felt very left out, you know. And apart from that, my boss, he was always like pushing and be like, oh, you need to finish this, you need to end that, like, and it was like always like pushing, and I was so tired, and I was tired because I felt like life didn't have to be like that. Cause what do you mean? I work 40 hours. That's my whole life. I'm spending my whole life on earth just to survive, and I'm not even surviving because I was living paycheck to paycheck, paycheck to paycheck. It was like every time I got paid, because I got paid twice, like every 2 weeks, twice a month. It was exhausting because by the time I get paid again, I don't have any money left, and it was like paycheck to paycheck. I realized that was most on me because of some limiting beliefs that I have. You know, something that I'm still working on it. and the way that I assign myself, as low value. So, I thought that was all I had. Like, that was my options. That's everything, and I realized as time was passing by, I was dreading myself because the conditions I was getting put into, it was generally, it was getting my body overworked. I would work at the truck when I worked at the afternoon. That's why I changed to the morning too, because they would send me to work at the truck. Sometimes two trucks that are big as hell, and it's like you need to be moving boxes around every time, and it's like I'm young. I don't have to do this, and I don't. I deserve better, you know. And I changed to the morning, and I thought things were gonna be different, but then, like I said, my boss was like a pain in the ass too, because it was like always like, count how many times I said like in this video too, because like is my favorite word. What can I say? And it's like, it's like I couldn't be there anymore. I felt like the life was getting drained out of me, and I was feeling like things shouldn't be like that. Like, we come into this reality to live how we want to live. We come here to live and express our biggest, desires, the things that how we want to live. And it's like we are trading our dreams and our time on earth to work for a company that does not even value us as much as we should. Because I was getting overworked and underpaid. I was getting sent everywhere. I was getting sent work there, work there, work there. I was getting, I'm gonna say like reality. I was a very good asset, because it was like, since I speak English and Spanish, I speak English and Spanish, and you can put me anywhere. They will put me anywhere, and I would be able to, get the work done. But it's like I was doing that, but I was still getting underpaid, and I was getting treated like, I felt like I didn't belong there, because I don't want to live that life. Working there felt like being a slave. From my perspective, it felt like being a slave, because it was like, you telling me that you pay me a certain amount of cash to live my life doing what you want me to do, instead of what I want to do. And with the money that you pay me don't even last anything, which makes me rely and depend on you. Like things are made for you to rely on other things instead of yourself. And that made me realize I don't want to live a life when I rely on something outside of myself to survive, because I was just surviving before. I wasn't even living a life that I felt proud of. I didn't feel aligned in the life. I didn't feel aligned. And it made me realize that I need to start living a life where I feel proud of myself. I feel aligned, and I started, feeling like I shouldn't be there. Like, because it started because I realized how they spoke about us in a despective matter. I think that's how you say the word. How they spoke about the employees as my associate. Oh yeah, why do you take my associate? Oh, I need your associate for this. And it's like, I am a human. We are just playing roles. Yet you're treating me like I'm just something for you, something useful for you, an associate. Oh no, you can't call me by my name. Why do you take this person that works in my department? Like, you see how different. You don't see me as a part. I didn't like that language. Made me realize that we are getting overworked. We are getting treated not how we should be treated. So I don't need to stay here and stand this treatment and not quit. And it's like, I feel so bad for those who think they don't have the pleasure of quitting, because it can be rough, relying a lot on a job and knowing that if you quit, your life will change and you don't know how. Because I feel like the reason why a lot of people don't quit their jobs that they hate is because they are scared of not knowing how are they gonna get money. because they base their money, they base their value on how much money they make. But the thing is that since they don't make enough money, it's like my value is low. So it's like this is the only thing I can afford to work at. If this is the only thing I can afford to be at. So it's like my value is low. So this is the only thing that will accept me. So if I quit this job, there is nothing else. But the thing is that your value doesn't depend on what you do, or other on what other people applaud you for. Your value is mostly on you, on your experiences, on what you are an expert at. Like look at yourself, like evaluate yourself. What am I good at? Like what are things that I just gravitate towards, things that I genuinely like doing, things that I'm good at, and look at that. Look at your experience, at what you've gone through. Look at what you know. Like that is your value. What you bring into the table as a person, that is what you bring to world. Like what you've gone through, like the entirety of you, that is what you bring to the table. That is your value. As long as you realize that what you are is your value, you're gonna start looking at things differently. Because it's like you don't need a job to get money. You just need to see yourself as the biggest asset. Like you put yourself on a pedestal, you raise your value, and see how you are the one that brings the money to you. Like it's something about you that you are the one that brings it, using your what you came here to do. It can be a little it can be a little hard to explain, but that's what I'm using for myself. I used to think my value was based on what other people used to think of me, and the opportunities I used to land on. Like if I don't get any opportunities, if nobody's looking at me, then I'm low value. But in reality, I realized that the value I bring to the table is based on who I am, my experiences, the things I know, the things I've gone through. Those are like who I am as a person, who I am as a whole. That is my value, and it's like I realize that what I bring into the table is high value. It is high value, and it's like I don't have to chase something that everybody is chasing that will give you the money that you think is the easiest. But in reality, the easiest way that you can get money is in a way that is aligned with you. And I feel like living an aligned life is way better than overworking yourself. But the thing is that most people don't know how to live an aligned life, And it's like, even me recently was when I realized that my life was not aligned. That I needed to start making decisions that came from my heart, that came from who I was and who I wanted to be. And I needed to stop making decisions based on who other people wanted me to be, and who I thought I was based on what other people, thought of me. And that's how I quit my job. I decided that I wasn't aligned with it. I was putting up with it for too long, and I was scared. It took me like a whole week deciding it to do it, because it was really scary. It was really scary realizing that I now have to find out what my niche is, what I am good at, like what my expertise, what my experience I brought me to work with, to put what I know to the table, to put it to work. And I realized that I really like talking about my experience and what I know. I want to help people who are going through the same thing as I went through. And I want to have a community. Hold on. My TV just, well, yeah. And I want to have a community where we just all just grow together. And I just want that. I want to help people who go through the same thing I went through, and I want to offer them what worked for me. I wanna show them, you know, different things that I did that helped me, and I wanna help them so it doesn't take him as long and it's not as hard to them as it was for me. So that's what I want to achieve. That's why I quit my job, because I know that I deserved better, and I will achieve better. You know, and I really hope I can reach those who need it, because I feel like I have a lot of things to offer with my knowledge, and I want to get to those who actually need the things that I have to offer, and I just want to be able to be of aid, to be able to help those. But yeah, and to be honest, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing, but I feel like not knowing is also peaceful, because I am able to like lay here on what I have right now, on who I am right now, and trust that the universe is going to bring to me through my body, through my intuition. Well, as long as I follow my intuition, I will be able to get to where I need to be, to where I want to be, and to live the life that I always wanted, you know? So it's like, I feel like as long as I follow my intuition and I do the things that my heart tells me to do, I will get to where I want. Because I think your intuition is like a map. Your map, your like, your, how do you call that thing that tells you like where to go, where it's like north, south? Well, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I feel like your intuition is that, like the nudges you get, like should, like the things the certain feelings like I should do this, are just like certain like nudges from your higher self to let you know that this is the right path to take to where you want to go. You know, so I feel like ever since I've started like doing what those nudges have told me to do, I feel more aligned. So yeah, listen to your body. Listen to your body. If you want to quit doing something, if you want to stop hanging out with certain type of people, if you want to start a brand new life, want to move to a random place, you don't know why, but you just feel like you want to do it, because that is the key to what you want to achieve, the feeling that you want to achieve, the life that you want to live. If you feel your intuitive nudges, you're gonna get there, because that's your like your GPS. But yeah, I hope I can get to those who genuinely want to be part of what I have to offer. And well, I hope all of you be blessed and have a good day.